Hello again, witchy people. Today we're talking privet. I was asked by Dragon Iris, could I do a little talk on privet? Now privet, although it's found in different, the family of privet is found all over the world. Common privet, which is Ligustrum vulgaris, is native to northeastern Europe and Great Britain. Now in New Zealand, privet is banned because the flowers are so that they cause such terrible eczema and asthma, really aggravate eczema and asthma. New Zealand won't have the plant in the country, and in America it's considered a bit of a bully because it does tend to overgrow the native species if it's not native to the country, and it can grow in almost any condition. So like it is considered to be a bully, really. But in England we love our privet hedges. We can be seen on Sundays, you know, like chopping away and making nice hedges with our privet hedges. Now considering that variations of Ligustrum are found worldwide, you would think we'd have a lot of folklore, mythology and magical uses for it, but we don't. And I think that's because there aren't really any medicinal uses for it. We do have medicinally magical uses, but no specific medicinally magical uses for privet. It is just hedging. The beautiful blackberries are poisonous, and what a lot of people don't realise is so are the leaves. The leaves are probably more toxic than the berries. They are especially poisonous to humans, dogs and horses. Horses are incredibly prone to privet poisoning. You know, it's just something, it's bad for horses. So like I said, there's not a lot of folklore, myth and magic associated with it. Now you would think, as it is traditionally quite an English plant really, we'd have a lot of folklore and myth associated with privet, but we don't. The main thing about privet that I can remember is in northern England, and in the south of England as well, but mostly in the northern parts of England, it was incredibly unlucky to bring flowering privet into the home. It was supposed to attract fire. Now that is kind of connected to a Greek folklore legend about privet. Privet, the fire of privet wood was supposed to open the doors to the underworld, open the doors to other realms, and then to communicate with the other realms you would burn wormwood on top of privet. So you've got that. In ancient Egypt they have a type of privet which they used to use to dye their feet. The berries they used to use to dye their feet and hands, mostly their feet. And it was a dye similar to henna and how henna was used. But apart from that, you're not going to find out very much about magical uses of privet or history, folklore and myth of privet. Now I said about the flowers. The flowers, if you have flowering privet, it usually means that that is an uncultivated plant. In England we snip our privet into lovely hedges and keep them quite tame so they don't get a chance to flower. But if they do flower, it's beautiful white flowers and they have almost a sweet sort of musky scent, ever so nice, and it's a real nice contrast from the berries, which are black. They're so blackish. It's quite beautiful. These beautiful white flowers and these amazingly dark berries, which birds love. And not only do birds love the berries, But caterpillars, moths, butterflies all love the privet plant. Now as it grows, like I said, we do love our hedges here in Britain. It does tend to have, unlike box, which you can grow right down to the ground, privet won't. You have this like gap underneath the main hedge. So it's very good for letting small wildlife in and out. But the actual bush is quite dense, so it's very hard to get through. So there comes one of its magical properties for protection. And also to screen, to screen out and stop other people from seeing something about you. It's a secrecy thing. Wild plants, because of this opening at the bottom, other wild plants, and some that aren't supposed to be wild, things like honeysuckle, grow beautifully through privet. Ivy doesn't grow through privet so much, but it can grow around it, which is quite unusual, and one doesn't tend to blot out the other. It's because of these connotations with it being nature friendly, it has a lot of associations with the fae. So you've got that fairy magic in there as well. But like I said, that's about all you're going to find, really, as far as folklore's concerned. Magically, it is used for travel, but especially things like soul walking and psychic travel, astral travel, connecting to other realms and the underworld. It's also used for dreams, especially dream prophecies, divination, obviously, visions, and it does have some connections to love, but not in the traditional sense of love magic. It's more to do with discovering lost love, and that is due to its connections once again with the underworld. Bringing back something lost, returning something lost. And it also helps boost the magic. So a little bit of privet can help boost, especially if you're doing anything to do with magic which involves smoke or fire and you need that visualization. It's good for a boost. So its gender is masculine. Planet associations, it is associated quite a lot with the moon, and that's because of those white flowers. It's also associated with Jupiter. Its element is fire, but it can also be water, and that water element comes in, I think, mostly because of the association once again with the underworld and the river Styx. So you also have that correspondence there with water as well as fire. So gods and goddesses, and there are a few that can be associated with privet, which is quite strange considering its limited use. So we have Hades, Osiris, Hecate. Persephone is an obvious one if you think about it. Nyx, Charon, Cronus was another one that was associated. Freya, Demeter, Hel, Anubis. Did I say Hecate? Hecate. So these are all the gods and goddesses that can be associated, and probably a lot more. Like I said, because it is mainly a hedging plant, so it's for keeping things in, but also for keeping things out. It's for protection. It's because of the associations with wildlife. It's very much a fae associated plant, but quite dark fairy magic, not really light and bubbly fairy magic. We're going on to sort of like the imps and the really mischievous naughtiness that fairies can conjure up. So that's really it. That's everything to do with privet, and I would love to find out more. Like I said, because it didn't have medicinal uses, traditional medicinal uses, you don't have a lot of folklore. The more uses a plant has, the more nicknames it tends to get, and folk names, and the more folklore mythology it has attached to it. So there you go. A jest for dragon iris. Herb-Privet. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching, witchy people. Bye for now.